In today's video, we're going to look at how to use a board, but not in the normal way. Training boards are a great tool to improve your strength and power in climbing. Whether you're a boulder, a route climber, or even a trad climber, it's a great way to improve finger strength, arm strength, and body tension. If you've just got a board available for all of your training, and if you're limited to using it for more than just strength and power, say you've got a home board or your local facility is particularly steep, you can use it for the rest of your energy systems training as well. So the main issue of using a board for more than just strength and power is the fact that it's pretty intense. And that comes down to the size of the holds and the angle of the board. So how do we actually use this for anything other than that top end performance? Well, the easiest way that we'd recommend using it for is by keeping your feet on the ground and moving your hands around as if you're going around a circuit, but whilst reducing the intensity by the feet being on the ground. It does look a bit funny and you do feel like you're not really doing much, but you can get a really good stimulus out of this exercise. So to make the intensity a little bit easier, I can either move my feet slightly further out or bring my hips in so there's more weight on my feet. Vice versa, to make it a little bit harder, I can bring my feet further in and hips further down. So now you know how to reduce the intensity enough to stay on the board long enough for other energy systems. The way to change up the intensity or specify even further is by using different types of holds. So it's really good to have a nice variety of holds on a board, but if you're training for a goal which is particularly crimpy, this is a good chance to do your energy systems training on small crimps whilst keeping your feet on the ground. So you're getting that specific grip type, but also the energy system as well by staying on there for the right amount of time. So one energy system we can do on a board, which seems a little bit counterintuitive, is aerobic capacity training. So that's looking at more of your endurance style of training, and it's going to help recovery and also your base aerobic conditioning. So a couple of examples of that training system is doing long intervals on the wall. So that could be climbing around for 5, 8, 10 minutes or even more, and that's got to be nice and easy. So you're looking for really low forearm pump and just like a regular amount of blood flow, and the intensity is staying low, so you're able to stay on there for a long period of time. That'll make you much better recovering on rest and performing on the easier sections of climbs, and it also builds the base for other training. Another type of workout, which is still aerobic capacity, is doing interval style training. So that could be a minute of climbing, a minute of rest, and the intensity for each minute is quite high compared to the other session. However, it's still going to be generally aerobic, so you're going to get a building up of pump throughout the session, but it's not too hard for each minute of climbing. The minute of rest in between is going to teach your forearms to recover and remove waste product and also re-oxygenate the muscles. So good example for a board is keeping your feet on the ground, 1 minute of circuits around, moving your hands around different holds, step back for a minute rest, and then repeat that for 10 times. You can find this on the Crimps app, and it's a great session to do to build up your aerobic capacity. So that's 1 minute done. Like I said, keeping the intensity nice and low. I'm actually using quite small holds here because my feet are so far out. I'm using quite a good grip position for the training stimulus that I need, where I'm using quite small holds, but the intensity is still low enough for me to do minute on, minute off. So set 1 complete, set 2 now. So doing aerobic capacity training in this style I find really useful for getting good at specific grip types. So as you can see here, generally I'm just using normal edges, but if you're training for anywhere particularly pockety, this is a really good method for you becoming better on pockets and adapting your fingers to using that grip type, but keeping the intensity quite low. And because your feet are on the floor and you can spread them out a lot, you can really use the holds nice and slowly and in control. So the second energy system that we can still use a board to train is your aerobic power. And that is looking at the top end level of performance aerobically, so something that's really sustained, such as sport climbing, where it gets really pumpy in your forearms. So we're looking for that high level of forearm pump. It's not too hard that you're going to fall off early, and not too easy that you don't feel like you're going to fail at some point. A really good session for this is doing broken 40s or broken quarters. So what we can do doing foot on circuits like we did earlier in the aerobic capacity session is choose a 10 move sequence, and we're going to keep repeating that 4 times in total. So I'm going to choose a 10 move sequence around the board. I'm going to complete that sequence. Once again, feet are just staying on the floor throughout, but it's going to be quite intense for that 10 moves. I'm going to take 15 seconds rest, and then I'm going to repeat that process 4 times in total, and that's 1 set. So this session is also on the Crimped app, and it's a great way of improving your aerobic power, even if you've just got a really short and steep board in your home or climbing facilities. So I've got a 10 move circuit now. What I'm going to do is complete it, 15 seconds rest, and keep repeating that for the whole session. What I'm going to try and do for this, because I've got to keep the intensity quite high, and I need to know if I'm progressing it, is 1, I'll make a note of the holds that I'm using so it gets harder and harder. In the other sessions, you can generally just move around a bit more easily for the aerobic capacity because you're keeping the intensity low. But for this, I want to take note of what circuit I'm using so I can slowly make that harder. But I'm also going to check where my feet are on the floor because obviously that dictates the difficulty as well. So 15 seconds rest and repeat. So the last energy system that we're going to look at today training on a board is your anaerobic capacity. So this is looking at that powered out feeling. So you're not getting forearm pump, but you're feeling like you can't hang on any longer. And this can be in your forearms and your fingers as well as your upper body. So you want to feel really, really powered out after each set. So you feel like you're failing because you're powering out, not pumped or just generally fatigued like you would in the other energy systems. So you can do this by repeating boulder problems, even if you've got quite a short board, until the point that you're powering out. So boulder triples is a really good example of this. However, another good method of using this session to train very specifically is doing 80% repeaters as if you're on a fingerboard, but using a board to do this. So that means holding set positions, and you can use specific grip types or specific positions of your body to mimic your goal routes or your style of climbing you want to improve at. And you're going to do 7 seconds of hanging, 3 seconds of rest, around 5 times per set. So once again, you can have your feet on the floor to get the intensity right, or even your feet on the board to make sure that you're getting the intensity high enough. I would still recommend trying to use really specific grips though, and don't go too fingery because this is a really, really hard session. So for this repeated set, I'm going to use 2 pinches. I'm going to be trying to compress for the 7 seconds of hang and then 3 seconds of rest. So I'm going to be able to put my foot behind me, quick shake out, and then go back for it. It's quite hard, that. So as you can see, I've just used the set pinches, but you can use any different body positions. So if you struggle with Gastons, you can use that. If you struggle with short compression and narrow compression, you could use that. Or if you struggle in wide positions, another great way of training that. Move your hips in and your feet further out to make the intensity easier. Feet further in, hips further out to make it harder. So there's a couple of ways of how to use a really steep board for more than just your strength and power sessions. You can really use this training tool for pretty much anything you need by just thinking a little bit more out of the box. Okay, stay tuned for some more episodes like this. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you very soon.